Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. First things first. So, do you think that Western countries, Al Capone, Great Britain, and other weasels, provide Ukraine with training in Ukraine? Raise your hand if you think so. Okay. So, I think so too. I think 99%, I think I'm certain about that one. But we have another guy saying the exact thing, that actually these instructors, trainers, advisors were blown up by the Russians. Did you know that? I didn't either. I mean, I assumed that probably the Russians were capable of eliminating these guys, but hey, who trusts the Russians? Nobody. We trust these guys right here. CNN, the most trusted news, blah, 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 trulu. So let's look at Sputnik. Remember, I don't trust Sputnik either, but I trust the guy who is featured by Sputnik. And let me show you here, Sputnik, so we don't have any blah, blah, blah. This is from 12 hours ago. So since right now is what? Is about, 15:34. So let's say right now is today. So 11th of October 2023. Former Pentagon advisor reveals what happened to NATO instructors in Russia, actually in Ukraine. What do you think it happened? Yes, exactly, blown up. Dmitry Medvedev, not that guy, chairman of the Russian Security Council, has previously emphasized that British advisors to the armed forces of Ukraine would become a legitimate target for the Russian army and would be ruthlessly eliminated. Russian troops eliminated NATO instructors who worked with Ukrainian soldiers in the Special Military Operations Zone, said former senior Pentagon advisor Colonel Douglas McGregor in an interview conducted by Godfrey Bloom. I love this guy. I liked him when he was with Nigel Farage in the Council of Europe or whatever, the European Parliament. Man, that guy was a hot rod. I liked him. I do like Bloom as well. I thought he was a Blumenthal or a Bloomstein or something, but no, he isn't just Bloom. He just blooms like a flower. A British independent expert, financial economist, author, YouTuber, and former EMP. I would like you to go and watch on YouTube some Godfrey Bloom's actions when he was in the European Parliament. And I'm quoting, virtually nothing can be said, nothing can happen, no action can be taken inside Ukraine's borders without the Russians knowing it, without the Russians detecting it. And if they know it and detect it, they can also target it. What's happening now, what's just happened within the past 24 to 48 hours in Ukraine, some 30 miles, which is 48 kilometers, behind Ukrainian front lines, was the destruction of a group of Ukrainian soldiers, several hundred of them, along with their US, UK, NATO advisors. They were all killed in a strike. You cannot move in that country without being detected, end quote, the officer said. So that is Colonel McGregor. According to McGregor, you cannot cross the Ukrainian border without being tracked by Russian intelligence. I don't think that either. I think you are. The colonel also clarified that Kiev has no means of tracking down such a sophisticated and multi-faced or facet surveillance systems. Well, I have no doubt that the Russians know not everything, but they know most of whatever happens in Ukraine. As you enter the country, I think you're monitored. If you land on an airfield, you are monitored. From the sky, from people among you, and so on. So the fact that this retired colonel advisor, because the Russians tried to make him sound very official, that's why I said former Pentagon advisor. I like Colonel McGregor, a former army, I would say general, but he's a colonel, unfortunately, because he got a big mouth, and that's why he was kept at the level of colonel. But He's got a beautiful book over there that you might read it. And I listened to this guy for some time. The first time when I saw him, it was, I think, at Tucker Carlson's when he used to work. And I saw him a few times over there and a few times in other areas. And when he was too honest about things and he was not parroting the narrative, he was cut off. You don't hear him anymore. He's not invited in any decent mainstream places. And then that reminds me of, I mentioned this name a lot of times. He was an American scholar of Jewish descent. His name was Professor, Doctor, how you want to call it, of Russian Studies, Professor Emeritus, Stephen Cohen. And he died a few years ago. I used to watch this gentleman and I liked him a lot. He was a normal person in this world, a normal person, very knowledgeable, very intelligent, very calm, very patient, and very sophisticated. I liked Stephen Cohen a lot. I gotta go and check him out. Just look for yourselves. So nevertheless, the same happened with him. He said he used to be invited in certain kind of air spaces, and he was kicked out. He was kicked out. Nobody heard about Mr. Cohen, Dr. Professor Cohen at all. Why? Because he was not parroting the narrative. The same thing is with Colonel McGregor. He's not parroting the narrative. Now, personally, I have to tell you this. I don't believe someone when someone tells me something. Right? I mean, I verify, or if I have knowledge about that, if it goes on the same direction, I say, okay, yeah, all right, like you tell me, well, Russia invaded Ukraine unprovoked. Garbage. So if someone starts a conversation with that, not trustworthy whatsoever. Why? Because I know it was not unprovoked. Why? The Russians said it. The Russians said what they're going to do. The Russians tried to engage these idiots in a conversation, and the other guy said, no. And we know what you're going to do because you said it. You're going to intervene in Ukraine. And they did. So provocation, not provocation, that's how I assess certain things. So you can always verify. But you have to know something about the subject. And how do you know? Read. I say, how do you read? Well, again, you have to disseminate what is a lie by verification. It's hard, but with time, you will succeed in finding I got the truth right here on my crystal ball. No. It's a constant, vigilant process. And you have to put a lot of effort into pushing away garbage versus what is meaningful. So anyway, I have no doubt that the Russians blew up American, British, and other troops over there actively fighting or being just advisors. Now, as an advisor or instructor, do you think an instructor sits over there and says, okay, Ivan, and okay, we'll go over there and you just do this, and you do you think that's the way it goes? No, they're actively. Do you think they don't have weapons on them? They're active over there. Do you think they just stay somewhere in a building and they use a PowerPoint and a pointing pen here? No, they are in the field. And I'm again, my gut balls, my feelings, that I have in my balls and in my gut, and my experience, I don't have to tell you exactly everything I need, how I know it, and so on. These guys are involved over there, and we're going to find about it later. So you're going to find out. We're going to not find out. It's going to be confirmed when they allow those guys to confirm it for us. Because if I write a book right now regarding this, and I try to publish it, it's either not going to be published, or secondly, you're not going to hear about it. But you're going to have this and that and do and that. When the order is given, they're going to be best-selling authors. Why? Because they are the ones allowed to give us the history. They are allowed, only a few. Why? They're peer-reviewed, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we're going to find out about these things after this garbage is over. If it's going to be over. And it's going to be over only under one circumstance, when the Russians are just changing everything in everything, changing, political and military direction of Ukraine. Until then, we're going to have the same garbage, because I don't think the Russians are ready to give up. We'll see if they allow us to see. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.